He's gone. He couldn't go all the way.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
We talking about practice.
You play to win the game.
Playoffs?
It's like taking poison, like rat poison.
It's Division I football. It's the Big 12. It ain't intramurals.
What's up, Elliot? It's good to see you here. Thanks for cutting a piece of your time out to come do a pod with us.
Yeah, man, This is exciting. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So we usually just like to kick things off with just a little bio of your life and kind of what are some big landmarks and stepping stones that you've kind of accomplished coming up to this point.
Yeah, man. Well, I don't know. That's it. It's a long journey, and I like to start with my dad and my family. Like my dad was a college football coach, so I grew up around college football since I was obviously younger than you. Some of my earliest memories were being on the field as an Arkansas Razorback and watching my dad coach on Saturday night. So definitely a untraditional childhood, right? So that's kind of where my story started, and it's taken my athletic journey this far across countries and the globe, and now with NASCAR. So, I don't know. I don't know really where you want me to jump in at, but happy to elaborate at any part.
Well, also, I was just going to ask, what was your dad's name? Because I might recognize him.
Mike Markuson.
What did he coach?
He was the offensive line coach for the Razorbacks. And before that, so my dad coached, he's from Minnesota. My dad's from Minnesota. My mom's from Tennessee. Sorry, my dog is walking around.
Jingling bells.
Yeah, it's his collar. So he's laid down now. He'll be chill. And my mom and dad kind of met when he was coaching at Austin Peay. It was a small college in Tennessee. And then they went and worked. He coached at Murray State and then Boise State and then Arkansas. And then before that, when he was a GA, he was at Oklahoma State when Barry Sanders was there. So that was pretty cool. And then he was a GA for Lou Holtz at Notre Dame, and he's got some pretty funny stories about Lou Holtz back in the day. And
dang, it sounds like we need to have your dad on the pod.
Yeah, he would love to do it. My dad's fun. He's really animated. So
yes, sign him up.
Yeah, I'll get him signed up.
Right. So
well, what was it like growing up as a football? Did you move around a lot? What was it like growing up as a football coach's son?
Yeah, thankfully, a lot of coaches' kids kind of compared to being in the military, moving around a lot. But thankfully, I really only had one big move, and that was from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Oxford, Mississippi when I was between 7th and 8th grade. So I moved to Mississippi when I was starting at the end of junior high, essentially. And so that was the only one I remember. But it was non-traditional for sure. During the falls, I never really saw my dad that much, and he was good about making time for us and my mom, myself, and I have an older sister, Noelle. But during spring, obviously, back then spring recruiting was a big deal and he was on the road a lot. And but the summer we had time together. And then when I was playing football, and I tell people this all the time, my dad was really good at, well, let me preface this by saying you probably think that he was probably very involved with my football career growing up. And he really wasn't. He was really good about being hands off and letting me be coached by my coaches. And if I had questions about a game that I played or practice, obviously I would talk to him. But other than that, he was, and I'm pretty sure you'll have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure he told my high school football coaches, he said, "Hey, he's all yours. If you need to run him, run him. And if you need to discipline him." So, which is kind of contrary to, popular belief being a coach's son. And he was hands off.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. Again, it's not kind of like where he's forcing you to be like, he's not aggro, get on the field, dad. He's just like, take your time. He's like, Dad, just live your life.
The one principle that he definitely instilled in me, and not just him, but because I was around the football teams that he worked for at a very young age, since your age, I was in these team meetings with the head coach that he worked for, which is Coach Houston Nutt, and all the coaches that worked with my dad, and just lessons that they taught along the way that stuck with me. And one of them, and this is the one my dad preached about the most, was anything that you start, you finish and you see it through. And if you don't feel like you're going to do that, don't even. So if you start something, you always finish it. When you give somebody your word, you always follow through. And that was something that I learned at an early age. And then sitting in those meetings and being around the older coaches and the college guys, like I remember one particular meeting, it was at Arkansas. I was sitting in the team room and, I'm just like hanging out with my dad. I'm like, I just want to go outside and play catch, and Coach Nutt was talking, and he I don't remember what he was talking about, but he was talking to the college football players, his team. And he said, when you leave this room, there's somebody always watching you. They're watching how you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself, and how you treat people. If you treat the janitor the same as the CEO, right? So always remember that somebody's looking up to you when you walk out of this room. And that was something I didn't know stuck with me, but intrinsically it did. A big thing about integrity. And so fast forward, when I was that guy sitting in the college football, meeting room, it kind of became full circle for me. And I was like, wow, like it was almost like I've been here before. I've growing up around it. Now I'm sitting here. It was like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
Has there been a moment or something that you've committed to that was hard to finish?
Oh yeah, there's definitely been a couple, and one of those was when I graduated from Ole Miss playing football. I wanted to do something kind of different with my life, and I thought about being a college football coach, and I had an opportunity to go work for the athletic administration at Ole Miss with the AD at the time, and I had gone to high school in Oxford. I played college football in Oxford, and I just wanted to kind of see what the world was like outside of college football. And so I moved to China for a year, and I ironically taught English. I barely speak English because I'm from Mississippi. And I coached I didn't coach college football, but I coached American football while I was there. And I was gone for 14 months. And that was towards the end of that time. It was getting quite hard.
Yeah, I bet.
How are the Asians at football?
Oh, they definitely there is a learning curve, that's for sure. But they love it. They eat it up, and it's growing. And actually, last year, since my time in China, I've got a lot of connections over in Asia, and I've taken a few former college football players, former NFL players over to Hong Kong, and most recently in December I went to Tokyo in Japan, and we did 2 to 3 day coaching clinics with all different kinds of athletes, from high school tackle football players to working with the flag football teams. And in Japan we work with some of the girls on their national team, so hopefully they're making a shot for LA 28. So to answer your question, football is growing internationally, and all the international NFL games. So it's cool to be kind of the person that's been able to kind of at least help bridge the two worlds between the United States and playing American football in Asia.
Yeah,
super cool.
For sure. So you played football, you bobsledded in the Olympics, and you're in NASCAR. What's the most thrilling one to participate in?
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't make the Olympic team. I was short. I wasn't fast enough. But I did compete for 5 years, and I tell people all the time, competing for Team USA, because we have seasons every year leading up to the Olympics. You go on tour and you race around kind of the world. And the first time I wore a Team USA jersey, speed suit, super suit is what other people call them. It was probably the greatest honor of my life. And there wasn't that many people at the race, and it was cold. It was in Utah and in Park City, and a lot different than playing in an SEC football stadium. But for me and my journey and doing things kind of, outside the norm, I guess, it was an honor that I definitely don't take lightly. And it was something that, hopefully, one day my kids will think will be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, the thrilling moment was wearing the red, white, and blue and representing the country and participating in the bobsled.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And obviously too, like going down the track is thrilling enough in itself. And I know you guys interviewed my fiance, Emily, and I don't know if she told you, but her and I, we met in the sport in bobsled, and, she ran track and field at Rhode Island, and I played football in Mississippi. And so I like to tell people we have a house divided sign, right? Rhode Island and Ole Miss is probably the only one ever made. But we kind of, when we met and we started, talking before we started dating, and we kind of trauma bonded over our shared experience of having to take an absurd amount of Dramamine before we go down into bobsled, because we get incredibly motion sick.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of ironic.
Signing up for a sport where you're motion sick.
Yeah. I've definitely I've thrown up a couple times after getting out of the sled. That's for sure.
Wow. And how fast usually the men's sleds go? Because Emily said she's like the fastest she's ever gone is 90, but I don't know if men's are slower or faster. But
usually it's around 90, especially the 4-man sleds, because there's a lot more weight, a lot more beefy boys in those things.
Yeah.
And did you race? What race were you competing in?
I was mainly on the North American Cup, and I've raced 2 and 4-man. I think 4-man's more fun. That's kind of your traditional, when people think of bobsled, I think of cool runnings and all that. And I always tell people too, when they ask about bobsled, they say like, a couple questions. First of all, they always ask, do you kiss the egg before you go? And it's like, no, we've never kissed the egg.
What egg?
In the movie Cool Runnings, they have the lucky egg, and they kiss the egg. It's about the Jamaican bobsled team.
Oh, yes, the egg, yes.
Yeah. And no, we don't do that. And then there's a scene in the movie where they're sitting in the bathtub and they're practicing like leaning. We don't actually lean. So when you're in the sled, you got to be in the 4-man sled. You got to be completely locked in, because there's like actually no room to move. I mean, it's 4 dudes, and you're pretty comfortable with each other, and there's no leaning involved. You gotta be pretty locked in, or the sled will tip over.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny when they're like, lean.
Yeah.
I did, because that movie, also, I think there might be a couple other things that are a little misguiding about bobsledding in the movie, just because it's not realistic.
Right.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean and so there was another movie, and your dad might know this, but there was an old like 007 James Bond movie, and there was a bobsledding scene. I can't remember who was playing James Bond, but they filmed it in the old Italian track, and one of the they're going down, and there's like skiers on the bobsled track. It's just absurd, Hollywood and all that. But one of the camera crew guys died filming it while he was going down. Their bobsled crashed, and he died. And that was like back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s. So the sport's definitely taken a lot of safety precaution steps, and, for the longevity of their athletes. But yeah, it's kind of the Wild West of winter sport, I think. And it's the most thrilling for sure.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Yeah. We called ourselves Ice Cowboys. We kind of like colloquially, like we like came up with that phrase, and it kind of stuck for a little while, and it was just something fun.
Yeah. Nice. So, what's your favorite Ole Miss memory from playing football there?
Oh man, that's a good one. A couple come to mind. First, when we beat Alabama at home, I was a redshirt sophomore, I believe, and it was game day. Came to Oxford. It was a big deal, and anyway, we beat Alabama, and the whole student section, or the whole stadium, stormed the field. It was the biggest win in program history. And I just remember being on the field, and then we won the game, and I can't believe we won. And I'm just thinking, like, I just want to get to the locker room so I could change and go hang out and party with my teammates and my friends. And we couldn't even get to the locker room because there were so many fans that had gone onto the field. And I just remember a student, or I guess, from student section, he tackled me on the field. And I was like, I just got to get out of here. And that was a good memory. And then my last game ever at Ole Miss, my senior year, we played Mississippi State, which is our big rival, and we're the best. And
Egg Bowl.
The Egg Bowl, baby, and Mississippi State's little brother school. We played in Starkville, and we won. We won the game, and we were under a bowl ban that season, so this was our final game. And so me and DK Metcalf took the big Ole Miss flag, and we ran it around the stadium, and then we planted it in the middle of their field. And so I have a picture of him and I with the flag on the 50-yard line, and that's a good memory.
DK Metcalf went to Ole Miss?
Yeah, he's from Oxford too, so we played against each other in high school as well, which is funny.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Do you know him well?
I haven't talked to him in years. Every now and then I see him when I go back to Oxford for a game if he's there. But
he's also in the NFL, so
yeah, he's a big deal.
Yeah, he's talented.
He's fast.
He's big too. And I remember one time we were sitting in team meeting, and he walks in and he's eating this is before practice, and he's eating like a bag of like gummy worms or gummy bears or something. I was like, this guy's a freak, man. Yeah. Like, that's insane.
He's like so buff, and he's like, it's just kind of funny sometimes because like there can be people like so buff and strong, then they walk in and you're just chilling with them, and then they've eaten 2 pizzas or chugging a Mountain Dew can, have like chips, like
unfair genetics.
I don't know, like, bruh.
Now was that game the game that DK got the 15-yard penalty in the end zone? Or is that a different game?
No, that was that game. Yeah,
that was that
How
game.
do you get 15?
Well, he scored a touchdown, and then he got down on all fours, and he raised his leg like he was peeing like a dog. Yes. And he got all that. Did penalties.
They end up scoring the touchdown though?
Yeah, they got the touchdown. They just had the 15-yard penalty.
So did the field goal or did the extra point was 15 yards back?
So
the kickoff.
Right. In our game, my senior year, I can't remember if it was enforced. I think it was enforced on the kickoff. Yeah. But the next year, another guy did that, Elijah Moore. I wasn't on the team anymore. I just graduated. He did the same thing DK did, and the score was a lot closer. And they enforced it on the field goal, I think, and the field goal kicker missed the field goal and Ole Miss lost it. And it was like a big deal. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this kid did that. So it was
deja vu.
A good lesson out there. Just
but weren't you because in the other game you were cooking them, right?
Oh yeah, we beat them pretty good. We beat them pretty good.
Has Mississippi State ever won?
Yeah, they've been good.
They've won, and they've won a couple times. And they won a couple times when I was on the team, and it is the worst feeling in the world.
Have they ever won when I was alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you played? Were you playing against Dak at that time?
Yes. Let me think. My true freshman year.
Dak Prescott was at Mississippi State, and they were good. Mullen.
Yeah, Dan
Mullen was the coach before he went to Florida. After that, got let go at Florida, was a commentator. Now he's at UNLV, I think. But he was a good coach. And they had a great team. They were, when Dan Mullen was coaching them and Dak was, here, look this way, my man.
Sorry. I was just saying they were good, right?
Yeah. They were top good. 10.
Yeah, there was a time there was like a Sports Illustrated cover. We were highly ranked, and Mississippi State was highly ranked. And it was like, I think the Sports Illustrated cover was split. It was like Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and I think the title was like Mississippi Madness because we were like 1 and 2 in the nation that week. It was really cool. It was special.
It was fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
so which famous athlete would you choose to ride with if you bobsledded, and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I want to say Herschel Walker, just for the legacy. Right, like he and Herschel was.
Did Herschel bobsled?
He did, yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And so when bobsledding, when I was being recruited to bobsled, I just remember the stories of Herschel Walker because he played in the SEC. He played at Georgia. Yeah, arguably the best running back ever in the history of college football, and
no doubt.
And and I was like, if Herschel could do it, I think I could do it, right? And so. Yeah, it's gonna. I think I would definitely pick Herschel Walker.
You're like I'm similar to Herschel Walker. You're like we have similar attributes. You're like Like, I'm rushing for 2,000 yards a season. You're like,
Right.
we're similar. Yeah.
Now,
Right.
did Herschel?
What position were you, though?
So I came in as a tight end, and then I moved to linebacker.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What did Herschel end up doing? What did he end up competing in for the bobsled?
He did. He was he did go to the Olympic Games, and he was a 2-man specialist. So
yeah.
he wasn't on the 4-man crew. And I want to say it was in the Albertville Winter Olympics in France, I believe. I think Albertville, France. But yeah, he unfortunately he wasn't really involved with the team at all while I was on the team. So he's busy being an ambassador and all that good stuff now. But yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, super cool. Great answer.
So you've trained for 3 totally different sports. What's the hardest your body has ever had to work for?
Oof, this is a great question. And I kind of feel it every morning I wake up. You know, all 3 are very similar. There's actually, I would say, bobsled and pit crew are probably the most alike than pit crew and football, even though majority of the pit crew athletes, 90% come from major college football or the NFL.
Oh, really?
But with bobsled,
why is that?
You know, that's a great question. And I think in the early 2000s, there was this coach that got hired at Hendrick Motorsports, which is the big team. Mm-hmm. And he had this kind of like revolutionary idea. He was like, you know, instead of, because at the time NASCAR was a pretty redneck sport, right? And the pit crew guys were like mechanics. And if you've ever seen old footage from like Dale Earnhardt racing, and he's got, you know, the pit crew guys are out there like pulling fenders and putting tires on. They got cigarettes in their mouth. And there was like at some point in the early 2000s, there was like a shift, and it was like, hey, maybe we can start winning races or get advantage if we had athletes do all this work. We don't need like mechanics to do this. Like, and so that kind of, you know, fast forward to today, it's turned into a really high performance world where right now they measure everything. We're graded on our times, and, you know, we have film review, and we have coaches, and they're measuring everything down to the hundreds of seconds, just like bobsled. So that's really where a lot of the comparison, I think, is at. And, you know, they're both racing sports, and it's funny now because people, you know, they hear about pit crew, they're like, so do you know a lot about cars? I don't know a thing about race cars, and I don't know anything about the cars. So there's a whole army of engineers and data analytics, and just the amount of energy and time and money that goes into prepping one car for one race each week it's pretty astronomical. And when I got into the sport, I didn't have any comprehension of, you know, NASCAR, right? And you know, I came from Team USA, it's kind of the, you know, prestigious thing, and then SEC football with all its pageantry and growing up with that. And I asked one of the coaches, and I was like, hey, like, curious, like, you know, our team has 3 cars in the house, 3 drivers, and most of the major teams have that too. And I said, so, you know, you got your sponsors on the car, you got your fun ones, like, you know, Kyle Busch was M&M for a long time, and Ross Chastain is, you know, Busch Light now. And I was like, you know, how much does it cost to run one car and their entire team for 1 year, one season? And I said, it's north of $30 million.
Wow.
One team. Yeah. And then you stack, you know, 2 more on top of that in-house, and that's our race team. And so there's big money, and you go to the race, and, you know, you're kind of back there in the pit crews and all that. And you see the sponsors and the donors, and it's big business. And for me, my perception was like, when you go out in the grandstands, you see all the good old boys having a good old time. Right. Yeah. And so it was, for me, that was probably the biggest, oh wow, like this is really legit.
Yeah. And what's your job in the pit crew?
Great question.
Yeah, right now I'm a jack man. So I'm the guy that runs out with the jack and run in front of the car and jack one side of the car and put a tire on, and then grab the jack and spin it around behind my back, and while I'm running around the front of the car, and then do the same thing on the left side. So,
and is there someone who does that on the back?
So there's 5 guys, and this is where the rules of NASCAR come in. So there's only 5 guys allowed over the wall competitively each stop. And there's NASCAR officials in each stall, and then they have a camera system, and they're looking for penalties. And so there's 5 guys. You have the 2 changers, the tire changers. Those are the guys with like the big guns, and they're connected to like pressurized hoses, and they like put the gun on and they take the big it's like in the Cup Series, it's one big lug nut. It's like that big.
Yeah.
And you take it off. So you have those 2 guys, the 2 changers, and then you have the guy that's the tire carrier. So he runs out with 2 tires in his hands, and he sets one tire, and then he puts the other tire on, and then he runs around the front, and then he puts the other tire on the backside. And then my job, I'm the 4th guy. I'm the jack man. So kind of think about it like the quarterback or the linebacker. Make sure, I kind of set the pace, make sure everybody's in the right position and doing their jobs correctly and smoothly, as fast as we possibly can. And then your 5th guy is your fueler. And he's usually the fuelers are bigger dudes that played offensive line or defensive line in football.
Because they're tall, because they can carry the massive fuel tank. Yeah.
And that thing's heavy. That's heavy. And there's liquid in it, so it's constantly moving. And so you have to and it's kind of funny. Our fuelers at our team, they call themselves Fuel Team 6. And they have algorithms and data. They're calculating flow rate and how much gas to put in with how many seconds, and they're doing the kind of math in their head in the middle of the pit stop. So it's an intricate dance. And I was telling my fiance Emily earlier, it's more choreography than anything, truthfully.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah. So when you wake up and you really don't feel like training, what gets you to do it anyway?
Ooh, great question. I think when I was younger, when I was playing college football, it was like, oh man, I have to do this, blah, blah, blah. And now, the older and I got, and you kind of push through, now is the 3rd iteration of athletics, 2nd professional athletics. And I think now the mind frame shift was like, I get to do this, right? I get to do this as a living, and
it's an opportunity, I have to get through this.
Exactly. And I know there's a lot of guys out there, former teammates that I played with, or people from the NFL, and that would love an opportunity, to get to do something athletic and be in a locker room environment again. And so I think, to answer your question, it's I get to do this instead of like, oh man, I have to get through this, right? So
yeah.
And speaking of get to, are the teams actively recruiting former players, or more former players trying to figure out how to get on a team, or what's the balance between, hey, we're looking for this body type with this experience to fill this role with our choreography, versus big dude showing up like, I want to keep doing something athletic, and how do I get on a team?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's a mix of both. I think for Trackhouse, the team I'm with, I think we have around 40 active athletes on our roster. Mm-hmm. And so they'll kind of backfill position-wise based off what they need. We always kind of have new guys coming in each week, checking it out, either recent grads from college athletics or from professional athletics. And then Hendrick Motorsports has a huge combine every year, and they actually send their coaches out to, like, I think they go to Clemson and NC State, and they sit down with the coaches and they say, hey, what guys are, projected to go to the league, and, what guys do you think would be a good fit for us in NASCAR and, having a career here. And so they bring them in, and they have this huge combine, and it's a lot like the NFL, right? They have them do a bunch of tests and drills and run a 40 and all kinds of stuff. So it's to answer your question, it's a little of both. And I know recently at our team, there was a kid that came from NC State. He just got done playing college football. And so he's like, I just want to, I'm looking to try this out and, further my athletic career. So it's a good mix.
Is he a tire man, a driller? What is he?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know where they're gonna slot him in at, or he's a big dude, so he might be on the fuel can.
Oh, nice. So, have you ever worked really hard at something and still failed? And what did you do next?
100%. Yeah, I think anybody who has done athletics at any point in their life, you're gonna be taught the lessons of failure, right? It's nothing will ever go your way 100% of the time. And my kind of philosophy on all that is, I would not be the athlete, the young man, the kind of person I am today without the adversity that I faced as an athlete. It's taught me a lot of life lessons. And really what I've learned the most is, you greet adversity like a friend, and you give him a hug like a friend, because without him, you wouldn't be where you are today. Right. And so for me, I think the biggest hardship that I faced was, after 4.5-5 years of competing in bobsled, I didn't make the Olympic team. And for me, I had to really audit, myself and, the journey and, why I even started to begin with. And goes back all the way kind of to your first question of like, I had to extrapolate or pull, what meaning did I get out of this whole experience? And for me, it was, I got to compete for my country. I was the first person from Mississippi to ever bobsled, right? There's no snow in Mississippi. So,
right.
And so the journey itself, and you get to, I guess you change your perspective a little bit, and you say, at the end of this journey, was it the mountain that I was chasing? Was it the peak I was chasing, or was I really chasing the climb itself? And so for me, that you kind of get to that point, and I met my fiance through the sport. So yeah, it's with failure always comes opportunity.
Yeah.
A lot to be grateful for.
Definitely.
Yep.
So your dad was a coach. What was the best advice he ever gave you?
Always finish what you start, and always be the toughest son of a gun on the field. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. How do you think you become the toughest on the field?
That's a great question.
Because that to me is that's a mental mindset. You're given the physical gifts that you have, but to be the toughest on the field. And Dylan's playing his first year of tackle football this year. We talk a lot about attitude and effort. So I'd love to know, like, what's your mental framework for how do I be the toughest on the field?
Just don't be the person to tap out. Don't be the person to quit. And I know that's so cliche. And the two things you can always control in life are your attitude and your effort. And if you're doing those two things, because you will always have peers, you'll always have people around you that will give up when times get hard or they face a little adversity. Even in Pop Warner, it'll happen. And just knowing yourself and kind of your preparation and just know, like, hey, I can't control if my coach takes me out of the game or if somebody starts over me. What I can control for the next week is my attitude and effort. And kind of using those building blocks, when you get your opportunity on the field, you've put in all the work you need to. You've prepared yourself mentally for the challenge, right? To prove somebody wrong or to prove somebody that you deserve to be there. I think all those kind of meld together to this physical toughness, and not even physical toughness, but mental toughness to I don't know, not to use a bobsled phrase, but to keep pushing through, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey.
Yeah, for sure. So who was the most impactful teammate you've ever had, and what did you learn from them?
Wow, this is a really great question. Off the top of my head, I can't even really think. This is a hard one. I've had a lot of great teammates, and they've all taught me a lot of different things at a lot of different levels. From my teammates at Ole Miss, who, we had guys in the locker room that were there to provide for their family at a very young age, right? They came to play college football to buy their mom a house and get them or her out of the living conditions they were in. And then you get to bobsled and Team USA, and everyone's there because they believe that they can do the hardest thing in athletics, which is go to the Olympics and represent our country. And so, and now, pit crew and the crazy guys that run in front of cars for a living, right? I think at every level there's been just, I don't want to say different lessons, but there's a lot. And I know that's not a really great answer, but
I'll flip the question around. Was there a vocal leader who embodied the never give up, like rah that like stands out from your time at Ole Miss?
Oh yeah. One guy in particular was Chad Kelly. The guy was a psycho, but he was good. He was
Why was he a psycho?
Oh, he was the toughest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he would call his own number. It didn't matter if they were running a full blitz into the box, and he would run the football, and he would not stop. And he was a gamer, and he won us a lot of games. And just when you see people, especially in football is a very morale-based sport, right? When you start losing, you're down by 3 touchdowns, and you're like, all right, pack it in, it's been on, move on to the next one. But you really get to see the metal of what some people are made of. And the real ones, the real leaders that stick out are the ones that lead by example. They never do anything. They never tell you to do something that they wouldn't do themselves, right? They're always the first in the locker room and the last out. Those kind of leaders, to me, leaders by action, and teammates that I had that were like that, they were usually the ones that stuck out to me the most.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, is that?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I'll just say, number one, so much fun to talk to, and a ton of cool experience across college athletics, jumping into the bobsled and now into the pit lane.
Yeah.
What a fun athletic career. Man, your enthusiasm, I can only imagine playing ball with you. You've got a infectious enthusiasm for seemingly life and sports and being competitive, and some great life lessons to pass on. I always kind of tell folks, we set out to do the podcast because Dylan's a Niners fan. He was born in San Francisco. We lived there for 6 weeks, but he's like, I'm a Niners fan. His favorite player is Christian McCaffrey, and he wants to meet Christian McCaffrey. And so I was like, well, let's start a podcast. And I was like, we'll network our way to him.
Yeah. Dad, there was I think it was one of Barney's friends.
Yeah.
But he said he was at the gym. He said he had a friend who was I think he was a linebacker. He is currently a linebacker at Green Bay who knows Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. So, number one, we're playing the networking game. But two, as it relates to this podcast, what has been undeniably a fantastic gift for Dylan and I is we hear the same lessons about grit, determination, hard work, whether that's in bobsled. We've talked to former NFL guys, Olympic swimmers, and hearing that message over and over as a dad and a parent, and being able to instill that in a young boy as he prepares himself for Pop Warner, playing hoops. It's really special. So I just want to say, kind of heartfelt thanks for taking some time to share your wisdom and your sports career with us. So it's awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. And I guess one parting, I don't know, wisdom or I don't know what mantra, I guess you could call it. But I remember my dad, he had this in his office at Ole Miss because he coached there before I played there. And he had this printout. And then I always saw him writing it down, but he finally typed it up, or he got his GA to type it up, and he put it right behind his computer. And you guys probably heard it before, but it's hard work always beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. And going into your future and your career with sports growing up, man, just lean into that. Right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, stand up to the test of time. Right. I've seen it. Guys in the league, man, not all of them are the best football players, but they were the ones that were willing to put in the most work all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Well, amazing. Well, thanks so much. We'll keep you updated when we get this bad boy posted.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Great talking to you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night.
He's gone. He could go all the way.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
We talking about practice.
You play to win the game.
Playoffs?
It's like taking poison, like rat poison.
It's the